Hello and welcome to my another video. I will be commenting on my battle in Pokémon BDSP OU again. And in this battle, I was using DragMag team again, but this time it is a different DragMag. I call it the fake DragMag because it has only one dragon Pokemon, which is Garchomp, and my Magnezone does not have Magnet Ball, it has Analytic instead. So yeah, I call it fake DragMag, and I have already published this team. So below the video, we will find link to both an importable of this team, and you will find a link to a description of this team on Smogon. So let's skip this part and let's have a look directly on the battle. When I was playing this battle, I was already in a high ladder. I was in 1712 elo points, and my opponent was lower, but this doesn't necessarily mean that it is a weak opponent. We'll see. So the battle is starting, and normally I would start with Tyranitar to start Sandstorm and set up Starstruck, but this time I was afraid that too many Pokemon my opponent could lead with would be super effective against Tyranitar. Basically, Staraptor, it has close combat, right? Maybe Gardevoir with Moonblast, definitely Scizor with U-turn. And I'm skipping Starmie, that wouldn't be a problem, but Garchomp with Earthquake, right? So I decided it wouldn't be safe to start with Tyranitar this time, and I started with Garchomp. Let's have a look. And my opponent is starting with Mew. So Garchomp is my Swords Dance Sweeper. I can either start attacking immediately, or I can use Swords Dance to start the setup. And because Mew would be 2-hit knockout normally, I decided that it pays off to use Swords Dance instead in the first turn, and then to 1-hit knockout Mew. Because Garchomp has Yache Berry. So in case Mew uses Ice Beam, which is very likely to happen, my Garchomp will survive the Ice Beam, and Garchomp is faster than Mew unless Mew is holding Chase Scarf. So then in the second turn, I would be able to 1-hit knockout Mew. So we are starting. I use Swords Dance, and my opponent, as expected, used Ice Beam. Now we can see the Ice Beam did more damage to me than I expected. I think it is because the opponent's Mew is holding Choice Specs, which is kind of unusual, but still my Garchomp survived, and now it can 1-hit knockout Mew. When looking just on Mew, I would decide to use Earthquake, which would be enough to 1-hit knockout Mew. But I was worried that if my opponent predicted that, they could switch in Staraptor, and then Staraptor could 1-hit knockout. Staraptor could finish Garchomp before Garchomp attacks. So I decided to use Outreach again, which also has some downsides. You know, the opponent has Gardevoir, the opponent has Scizor, but I felt Outreach was slightly safer, so I used Outreach. So we go, the opponent is knocked out, and Starmie comes in. Now Starmie is very likely to knock out Garchomp, because Starmie is usually played with full speed, and full speed Starmie is faster than my full speed Garchomp. But I didn't see much point in saving Garchomp for later, so I decided to stay in. Actually, I could not even decide because I was forced to repeat Outreach. I could not even switch. So yeah, Starmie goes and knocks out my Garchomp. Yes, Surf or Ice Beam doesn't matter. I see the Starmie has a Life Orb. Yeah, so it is the offensive variant, which is slightly worse for me, but still not a big problem. I switch in Tyranitar. I mean, Starmie has super effective serve against Tyranitar. At the same time, Tyranitar has super effective crunch against Starmie, but Tyranitar has high special defense. So my situation is good overall, and I was expecting my opponent to rather switch Starmie out. So I chose Stealth Rock. Yeah, of course, Starmie is faster, and I use Stealth Rock. Now, no matter what opponent does, I believe Crunch is the right choice. So I chose Crunch, and before I destroyed Starmie, it had time to remove the Stealth Rock from the arena. So right now we are looking, there is a Staraptor against Tyranitar, since Staraptor can know and will know close combat and is likely to use close combat, which would one-hit knockout Tyranitar even if it has full health. I needed to switch out. Let's just reflect on the situation, what it looks like now. The battle is pretty even because I have one Pokemon down. My opponent has two Pokemon down, but my Stealth Rock was removed and I'm not able to put Stealth Rock immediately back, and one of my Pokemon will get damaged. So I believe I'm still in lead, but only by a very small margin. So let's see, I am switching to Gliscor, and I hope it will be really close combat as I hoped, yes, and yeah, close combat, it didn't do much damage to me. Yeah, I activated my Toxicroak, nothing unexpected. At this point, it doesn't seem that the Gliscor is in immediate danger, so I decided to go with my setup and use Swords Dance. Okay, the Brave Bird was slightly stronger than I expected, but still okay. I think I now protect. Yes, I attempt to protect, but since opponent was switching, I mean, it isn't that bad that I protected, even though my opponent was switching, because if I used Earthquake, I wouldn't use Earthquake against Staraptor because I was more expecting Staraptor to stay in. So the only attacking move I could have chosen instead of Protect was Knock Off. And if I use Knock Off, it wouldn't do that much damage to Garchomp, and I would be hurt by Garchomp's Rough Skin ability. So in the end, since I can repeat Protect and have 100% chance of succeeding with Protect in the following turn, it was not that bad that I just wasted the turn. I got some damage healed by Toxic Heal, and I will have one more turn to heal some damage while I actually protect myself against Garchomp. And let's hope that Garchomp will be using an actually attacking move like Outrage, probably. If Garchomp is not going to use an attacking move, then it will be a problem for me. Let's see. Now I protect for real, and unfortunately my opponent used Stealth Rock. Now my team does not have any Entry Hazards remover, but my team is highly resistant to Stealth Rock, so I don't mind much if I have to play the whole battle with Stealth Rock on my side of the arena. But now Gliscor is probably still in one-hit knockout range of Garchomp, if Garchomp were to use Outrage. So I think I switched out. Yeah, took Lefable to. Actually, I was expecting Outrage, but it doesn't matter Dracometeor, once the attack does nothing, the outrage would not continue being first used again. So it really doesn't matter which damage does 0 damage to me. And I think Garchomp will probably switch out. I can't really say what it will switch to. I mean, if I really believed, Scizor has a super effective Bullet Punch, and Scizor is resistant to a Moonblast, which is the most likely move my Clefable will be using. So I could probably expect my opponent to switch in Scizor, and if I was confident enough about it, I could use Flamethrower to one-hit knockout Scizor, but I was not confident enough, so I chose Moonblast. Earthquake does over half of the damage, and fortunately Moonblast one-hit knockouts Garchomp. It's not visible, but my Clefable is holding Life Orb and receives no damage from Life Orb, as well as no damage from Stealth Rock or from Sandstorm because of its awesome Magic Guard ability. And yeah, here is Staraptor. Staraptor can one-hit knockout Clefable with Brave Bird or with Double Edge. It doesn't matter at all. They are basically the same attacks and both are neutral against me. And since I saw that Staraptor in past had switched between close combat and Brave Bird, I knew that Staraptor was not holding Choice Scarf, which would be a popular item on Staraptor. So it was safe for me to go with Alakazam, and Alakazam would be faster and would finish Staraptor. However, the opponent switched in Scizor, and I was lucky that I had the secondary effect of Psychic, that it lowered Scizor's special defense. So now Scizor is on the threshold of being or not being knocked out by the flowing Shadow Wall. I think I did not want to undergo the risk, so I switched out. And here goes Tyranitar, which may look completely crazy because Tyranitar is weak to both most frequent moves that Scizor would use. It is weak to U-turn as well as to Bullet Punch. And this time Scizor is using Break, probably expecting me to switch in a Magnezone instead, because Magnezone would be resistant to both Bullet Punch and U-turn, but I switched in Tyranitar because I saw I would probably have no use of this Pokemon for the rest of the battle. So I decided to sacrifice Tyranitar in order to have a clean switch in without obtaining hits from Scizor. So yeah, my opponent knocked out Tyranitar, and I'm switching in Gliscor, and I hope the Scizor has Choice Band. I mean, Scizor would not need choice Band in order to, to kill Tyranitar, because Break is 4 times super effective. But the mere fact that Scizor has Break shows it is not likely to be the Defog Roost variant, and it's hopefully not the Swords Dance variant either, and now Scizor will probably be forced to repeat Break or to switch out. But if it switches out, my Gliscor is faster than Gardevoir, and Staraptor is probably not that much dangerous. So I think I can Swords Dance again. Actually not. I used Knockoff, and it was really Choice Band, which may now look scary because Scizor lost Choice Band and is no longer forced to repeat the Brick Break. However, Gliscor is sufficiently resistant to all moves that Choice Band Scissors run. I mean, U-turn does not one-hit knockout, U-turn does not finish Gliscor, Bullet Punch does not finish Gliscor either, Brick Break, of course, it does like next to nothing, and the Night Slash should also leave at least some health to Gliscor. So in the following turn, even if Scissor chooses Bullet Punch, I should be able to finish Scissor with Earthquake, right? Sounds good. I'm using Earthquake, but I did not finish Scissor, and Scissor has a very unusual move. It used Iron Head, which is, you know, still a physical move, as Bullet Punch is, but it's not priority move. And Iron Head is stronger than Bullet Punch. And I mean, it's not that much stronger because Bullet Punch activates Technician, which does not apply to Iron Head, but it is still a stronger move. And it's completely unexpected. I have never seen Iron Head on Choice Band Scissor. So I got a very unpleasant surprise. I didn't finish Scissor, Scissor finished me. And now the situation became much, much worse for me than what I was expecting. So what do? I switch in Magnezone. I know that even if Scissor decides to Brick Break again, it would not be nearly strong enough to knock out Magnezone. And normally when Magnezone faces Scissor, I would use Volt Switch, but right now there is no real point in using Volt Switch because the only Pokemon I could switch in would be Alakazam, and I don't even know whether I would like it in the situation. So I was basically choosing between Thunderbolt and Flash Cannon. I mean, Trey Attack would also finish Scissor, but there's no like advantage of it because both Thunderbolt and Flash Cannon have STAB, and Flash Cannon is super effective against Gardevoir. Thunderbolt is super effective against Staraptor, but since Staraptor is chipped enough and is within the range of being knocked out by Flash Cannon as well, I decided for Flash Cannon, which knocks out whichever Pokemon the opponent switches in or keeps in. So here we go, I use Flash Cannon. So yeah, Brick Break, far from one-hit knockout. And here is Staraptor. I was expecting Staraptor to probably use close combat again to one-hit knockout to finish Magnezone, but it was not safe to switch in Alakazam. So I decided I will let Staraptor one-hit knockout finish my Magnezone, and then hopefully Alakazam against Staraptor is safe. I already know that Staraptor does not have Choice Scarf, so Alakazam will be faster, and Psychic from Life Orb boosted Alakazam will be more than enough to finish Staraptor. I'm more worried about Gardevoir, because unless Gardevoir has Choice Scarf, I am faster, but Shadow Ball would probably not be enough to one-hit knockout a Gardevoir, and I'm not really sure what happens when Gardevoir strays copies my analytic, and then it probably uses Moonblast, which will be times 1.5 by STAB and times 1.3 by analytics, so nearly 2 times damage from Moonblast. And even though Alakazam's special defense is not as miserable as its defense, it's still not great. So my main worry is that Gardevoir survives the Shadow Ball and maybe would one-hit knockout Alakazam, but let's see. Staraptor used Stone Edge again, instead of the expected close combat. So it was Magnezone who finished Staraptor, but it makes no difference in this battle because Gardevoir will definitely finish Magnezone before Magnezone gets a chance to repeat Flash Cannon. I mean, if if Gardevoir used Calm Mind instead, it would make no sense for the opponent because it would still go down for my Flash Cannon. Probably there's like no point. It doesn't matter whether I finished Staraptor with Magnezone or I will do with Alakazam. It doesn't matter. Now Gardevoir finishes Magnezone and it will come down to Alakazam versus Gardevoir. So let's see. Yeah, Trace copies Analytic. We have Moonblast here, and now the decisive moment. Full health Gardevoir against full health Alakazam. And unfortunately, no Gardevoir attacks first. It means Gardevoir has Choice Scarf and is able to finish Alakazam before Alakazam uses the second Shadow Ball token. So I lost this battle by quite a small margin, but I lost the battle against opponent who was lower in the ladder, so I dropped quite a lot. But I think it was a really nice battle. I really enjoyed playing it, and I hope you like watching it as well.